House come to order. Would the members please rise for the invocation by Pastor Kyle McDaniel, Capital Commission State Minister, Frankfort, Kentucky, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Our Father, thank you for your love and mercy. Lord, we are quickly approaching the conclusion of the 2026 General Assembly. Endurance is the challenge. Each remaining day will be long, complicated, and full of pressure and stress. Would you guide these leaders by guarding their hearts, strengthening their resolve, renewing their focus, protecting their character, and blessing them with the prudence necessary to finish well? For weeks, these leaders have worked to address innumerable challenges. The work they do is good and necessary, and I ask that you give each of them the divine wisdom, insight, and discernment necessary. May they choose what is good and right for our state, and may your assurance guide them in these final days. Lord, we also lift each member of this assembly as individuals made in your image in need of your loving care. Each legislator carry upon their shoulders the burdens of life in a broken world. Some must lead with limps, some are hurting, some are frustrated, some are tired, but all of them are yours. Lead our leaders with love and sovereign care. But we are yours. We come with empty hands and seeking hearts, and so we ask for your kingdom to come and for your will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. In the name of your glorious Son we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, sound the chimes. The members will indicate their presence on the roll call machine. There being 95 members present, a quorum was declared and the House is now open in session and ready to proceed. The next order of business is excuse of absent members. Gentleman from Taylor.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, that the absent members be excused in accordance with the House rules.
Without objection, so ordered. Gentleman from Taylor.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules for the purpose of allowing members to co-sponsor bills and resolutions or to submit vote modifications and have filed the proper papers with the clerk to do so.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order of business is the approval of the journal. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the journal from Tuesday, March 24th, 2026 be approved.
Without objection, the journal from Tuesday, March 24th, 2026 is approved. Next order of business is the second reading of bills. Mr. Clerk, please report.
Senate Bill 27 with House Committee Substitute 1, Senator Elkins, an act relating to cremation of dead bodies. Senate Bill 30, Senator Elkins, an act relating to the Motor Vehicle Commission. Senate Bill 77, Senator Douglas, an act relating to ibogaine research in the Commonwealth. Senate Bill 94, Senator Wilson, an act relating to motor vehicle dealers. Senate Bill 98, Senator Wheeler, an act relating to welding safety. Senate Bill 102 with House Floor Amendments 1 and 2, the title amendment. Senator Reed, an act relating to the Kentucky State Police. Senate Bill 133, Senator Nunn, an act relating to the fiscal reporting of local entities. Senate Bill 149, Senator Elkins, an act relating to the Office of County Treasurer. Senate Bill 192, Senator Bledsoe, an act relating to municipal financial reporting. Senate Bill 278, Senator Reed, an act relating to the Department of Kentucky State Police. Senate Bill 291 with House Committee Substitute 1, Senator Storm, an act relating to recyclers and declaring an emergency. Senate Bill 312, Senator Storm, an act relating to court-ordered transports. Senate Joint Resolution 62, Senator Madden, a joint resolution directing the Division of Water to provide recommendations and clear guidance on how local governments can more easily access jurisdictional streams and waterways for cleanup after flood. Senate Concurrent Resolution 66, Senator West, a concurrent resolution urging the University of Kentucky and the University of Louisville to explore opportunities to participate in federal nuclear-related programs and to expand their curricula to offer courses and degree paths to train the workforce that will construct and operate the next generation of nuclear energy facilities. Senate Joint Resolution 75, Senator Madden, a joint resolution directing the Public Service Commission to explore measures that would address affordability and the provision of essential utility services and declaring an emergency. Senate Joint Resolution 116 with House Committee Substitute 1 and House Committee Amendment 1, the title amendment, Senator Stivers, a joint resolution directing the University of Kentucky, the University of Louisville, and Eastern Kentucky University to coordinate a search for actionable solutions to physician shortages and to explore and expand healthcare opportunities in medically underserved areas in collaboration with community, state agency, professional associations, and other stakeholders, making an appropriation therefore and declaring an emergency. And Senate Joint Resolution 139 with House Committee Substitute 1 and House Floor Amendment 1, Senator Rocky Adams, a joint resolution designating honorary names for various roads and bridges.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All those bills and resolutions receiving favorable committee reports shall be considered as having their first reading in order placed upon the calendar. Senate Bill 195, having received a previous reading, shall be considered as having a second reading and is ordered in the possession of the Rules Committee for further action. The next order of business is the orders of the day. Lady from Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that
Second,
House, I apologize, Senate Bill 104.
Hold on, lady. I need to go back. I actually skipped the report of committee, so let me go back to that real quick. We'll get that. Mr. Clerk, please report.
The Agriculture Committee has met and reports Senate Bill 37 should pass, an act designating the state dog breed. Senate Bill 214 should pass, an act relating to the Department of Agriculture and declaring an emergency. The Banking and Insurance Committee has met and reports Senate Bill 97 with House Committee Substitute 1 should pass, an act relating to coverage for prosthesis and orthosis. Senate Bill 189 with House Committee Substitute 1 and House Committee Amendment 1, the title amendment, should pass, an act relating to the regulation of virtual currency kiosks. The Judiciary Committee has met and reports Senate Bill 50 should pass with House Committee Substitute 1, an act relating to the disposition of property. Senate Bill 66 should pass with House Committee Substitute 1, an act relating to the operation of a motor vehicle. Senate Bill 195 should pass to rules with House Committee Substitute 1, an act relating to civil causes for action. And Senate Bill 281, an act relating to grandparent visitation, should pass.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Now we're in the orders of the day. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Senate Bill 104 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage.
Motion made that Senate Bill 104 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage. Mr. Clerk, please report.
Senate Bill 104, an act relating to impeding a first responder. Senator Nunn.
Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the gentleman from Hopkins 4 for explanation of the bill and motion thereon.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Hopkins 4 for an explanation of the bill and a motion thereon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 104 is built on a simple and reasonable principle. When first responders are doing their job, they need space to do it safely. Every day across Kentucky, police officers, firefighters, and emergency personnel respond to situations that are chaotic, dangerous, and unpredictable. When they arrive on the scene, they are often stepping into moments of crisis, car accidents, violent situations, medical emergencies, or fires. In those moments, their focus should be on protecting life and restoring order. What this bill does is very straightforward. It creates a fence called impeding a first responder. And after a clear warning, a person may not knowingly approach or remain within 25 feet of a first responder who is performing his or her lawful duties if the intent is to interfere with those duties, threaten the responder with harm, or harass. This bill does not create a blanket restriction around emergency scenes, nor does it prohibit people from observing or recording what is happening. Transparency remains intact. This bill only applies after a warning is given. This bill also creates clear and reasonable graduated penalty structures, and that penalty structure reflects something important. This bill is not designed to punish ordinary people. It's designed to deter repeated and intentional interference with emergency personnel that we have witnessed through professional responders. Most first responders have witnessed situations where emergency scenes have become crowded, emotional, and even confrontational. In those moments, a firefighter pulling equipment through a crowd, a paramedic trying to save someone's life, or an officer managing in a dangerous situation should not have to fight through unnecessary interference. A clearly defined buffer is a warning, simply gives them physical space to perform the job we ask them to do. And at the end of the day, this is about respect for the men and women who show up on our worst days. They are the people who call when our lives are on the line. The least we can do is ensure they have space necessary to protect our communities and save lives. Mr. Speaker, I would yield to the gentleman from Jefferson 33 for procedural of the friendly 4 minute.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson 33.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to call House Floor Amendment in a moment, but it has been identified as a piggyback, so I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules so we can consider House Floor Amendment 1.
Motion made for the suspension of the rules so that we could hear House Floor Amendment 1. The motion is non-amendable, non-debatable, requires a constitutional amendment of 51. With that, Mr. Clerk, sound the chimes. Now proceed to vote. All those in favor of suspension of the rules, vote yeah on the roll call machine. Those opposed, nay. And the roll call machine will soon be open for your voting. Have all members voted? Clerk will take the roll. There being 81 members voting, the rules are suspended to hear House Floor Amendment 1. Gentleman from Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd ask the clerk to call House Floor Amendment 1, please.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 104.
Gentleman from Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move adoption of House Floor Amendment 1.
Motion is for adoption of House Floor Amendment 1. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. House Floor Amendment 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Hopkins.
Mr. Speaker, I move passage of Senate Bill 104 as amended by House Floor Amendment 1.
Motion made for the passage of House Bill 104, or Senate Bill 104 as amended by House Floor Amendment 1. Is there any discussion? Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson 34.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield to a question, please?
He will yield.
Thank you so much. Sponsor, I'm looking for some clarification. Under this bill, could a Kentuckian be charged with a crime simply for standing 20 feet away and recording a police interaction with their cell phone to ensure accountability?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
They could not be.
Lady from Jefferson.
Will the sponsor yield to an additional question, please?
He will yield.
If a bystander sees a person who's in distress and yells for an officer to let go, get off their neck, something of that nature, are they now guilty of harassment because a prosecutor claims it caused that officer substantial emotional distress?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
That would not apply.
Lady from Jefferson.
Thank you. Will the sponsor yield to one additional question?
He will yield.
Sponsor, who are the individuals who you feel like this bill mainly is for?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
As in the title, these are for first responders.
Lady from Jefferson.
May I speak on the bill, please? I'm not going to be able to support this bill today because it's really clear to me that while I want to keep all of our first responders safe at all times, when you look at what's happening right now in this country and the way our first responders are being deployed against our own people, it's incredibly problematic. I'll be a no.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Rowan, 99.
May I yield to a question for the gentleman from Hawkins?
He will yield.
Gentlemen, would this pertain to instances such as ICE agents maybe working in the state? Would this address them, or is it just first responders?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
It would be first responders as in KRS 507070.
Gentleman from Rowan.
I'm not acquainted with that rule. Does that only like EMS or?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
I think I heard him say EMS. That it would apply to EMS. Federal agents are a different category that wouldn't apply.
Okay, thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Fayette, 45.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield to a question?
He will yield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, are you aware of the federal case, Tincher versus Nome, that's currently taking place in the state of Minnesota, where these similar vague interference standards have been used to arrest peaceful observers?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
I am not familiar with that case.
Gentleman from Fayette.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield to another question?
He will yield.
So, in that case, essentially it's going through federal court right now, and I'll talk about it more, but essentially we have the interference standards that are similar to Senate Bill 104. Has there been any type of review for litigation risk against the Commonwealth of Kentucky if this bill were to pass regarding similar cases of peaceful bystanders?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
It's went through the regular review process that we do with all bills.
Gentleman from Fayette.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, gentlemen. Wish to speak on the bill?
May proceed.
First thing, I do take the gentleman at his word, and I do believe that he means everything that he says. And just like that, I believe the gentleman from the Senate who wrote this bill means everything that he says. And I agree with everything he said when presenting this, that we want to make sure that those who are protecting Kentuckians have a safe environment in which to do that job, especially in those high tense and emotionally involved situations. Our first responders who are out there, whether it's a fire truck or an ambulance or a police car that they come in, that they have every opportunity to serve and assist and protect our Kentuckians. They've sworn to do that without their being impeded upon. Absolutely, 100%. And I do trust our law enforcement professionals within the state of Kentucky. There was a question that was asked and an answer given that essentially said that federal law enforcement officers would not be included under this. I am not a lawyer myself, but asking those who are, it seems that our Kentucky revised statutes would apply to federal agents to include ICE and Customs Border Protection under our definitions of peace officers that are used in these statutes. And my concern is with those federal agencies, the ones who should be at the border and not in cities across the heartland of America. If we pass Senate Bill 104 as written, I'm worried that nothing stops that these same forces could be turned their attention to Kentucky. And I believe that's somewhat valid when we consider that there is a fairly popular Democrat governor who people are talking about around the country at this point in time. Now, there are these standards in there, impeding, harassing, emotional distress that the lady from Jefferson already asked questions about. And a lot of those, I worry, are not very objective standards, but they are subjectives. And especially when we talk about emotional distress, that would even be a feeling. And I don't know that we always write statutes that are based on feelings. And we don't have to speculate about how these vague interference laws can be abused because, as I mentioned in my first question about the case of Tincher versus Nome, it's a federal case in Minnesota where plaintiffs allege that federal agents use a similarly vague standard to arrest peaceful observers, those who are just filming, standing nearby, observing, or asking questions. And the court found that the case had enough merit to grant injunctive relief. So that's not a hypothetical that I'm questioning here on this floor today. It's a real-world warning, and as the Tincher case shows us, that when we base criminal charges off of feelings, that we could invite outside agencies to stretch the law, to invite litigation in our state. We invite constitutional challenges that Kentucky taxpayers would then have to pay for. And our Constitution does not grant these rights. It simply recognizes these rights, these fundamental rights of free speech and assembly. And whenever we see that those rights might be impeded upon or questioned, I think it's incumbent upon us that we would examine those with the utmost scrutiny. And for that purpose, Mr. Speaker, I ask that you have the House Clerk report House Floor Amendment 3 to this bill.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 3 to Senate Bill 104.
Gentleman from Fayette.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Clerk. This amendment is our shield against abuses that was seen in the Tincher case and in Minnesota. It would ensure that no person can be charged for the simple act of photographing, recording, filming, or observing a first responder, provided that they are not physically obstructing that officer's duties. It simply protects the First Amendment right to document government activity. That being said, Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of House Floor Amendment 3 and would request a roll call vote.
Motion made for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 3. Is there any discussion? Chair recognizes the gentleman from Hopkins.
Mr. Speaker, I would lay out that this amendment is unfriendly. I think that every law enforcement officer knows about First Amendment rights, and they're totally okay with people doing that, and I don't think it's needed. I think we talk out of one side of our hand how we support law enforcement, and then we go on a rant about how law enforcement shouldn't be doing their job. I feel that this is watering this bill down, and I think it's an unfriendly amendment.
Question for the body is on adoption of House Floor Amendment 3. Gentleman from Campbell, 67, would you like to speak on the amendment? May proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to briefly speak in support of this amendment. And again, this is not a hypothetical situation. Just last year in Covington, in northern Kentucky, there was an incident where there was a protest that started in Cincinnati, walked across the bridge, and we had multiple journalists arrested and had to go to court. Those cases were eventually thrown out. But I think this amendment addresses very specific situations like this where journalists are just trying to do their job and document a protest or other police activity. So I speak in support of that. Thank you.
Gentleman from Boyd 100, would you like to speak on the amendment or the bill?
The amendment, Mr. Speaker.
May proceed.
Yes, I'd like to ask the gentleman from Fayette 45 a question.
He will yield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, is there any sort of buffer in your amendment for the law enforcement and first responders?
Gentleman from Fayette.
Thank you very much for that question. So the amendment changes nothing about that 25-foot distance. What it expresses is that, and it clarifies in that language, and hopefully it's up on that screen, photographing, recording, videoing, observing, with the expressly written that there cannot be any obstructing at all of officers. So that would still be within the officer's purview if someone is obstructing them, that they could arrest. So me having a cell phone in my hand, I don't get to run up and say, I'm protected because of Rep. Moore's amendment. You still cannot be obstructing in any way, shape, or form a law enforcement officer, peace officer, or first responder.
Gentleman from Boyd.
Will you yield to another question, Mr. Speaker?
Here we yield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman from Fayette, are you aware of all these protesters? A lot of them, the majority of them, are paid protesters that are there to harass law enforcement?
Gentleman from Fayette.
Mr. Speaker, I have a lot of respect for the gentleman who asked that question. I would ask him to provide any proof that there are paid protesters out there. This is something that is misinformation across the internet, and I expect us to bring facts and not this type of accusations to the House floor.
Gentleman from Boyd.
I'd like to speak on the amendment.
May proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What was just said has been well reported. The opposite of it that he's referring to as misinformation. We had it here on our floor when we were over in the Capitol. We had protesters show up. We had people with clipboards that were paid protesters. We even have documentation from the state police showing that these protesters were paid. So it's not misinformation. It's out there. A lot of these protesters are out there to disrupt current activity going on to enforce the law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Todd 16. Would you like to speak on the amendment, gentleman?
No, I'm not. I'm sorry. No, all good. Come on. I don't like that bad.
Question for the body is on adoption of House Floor Amendment 3. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call having been called for, we'll now proceed to vote. This is a vote of a simple majority. Mr. Clerk, sound the chimes, and the roll call machine will be open for your voting. Have all members voted? Clerk will take the roll. There being 21 members voting yea, 56 members voting nay, House Floor Amendment 3 fails. Gentleman from Fayette.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This has been a subject of great conversation. Let's keep on going. Mr. Speaker, I ask that the clerk report House Floor Amendment 4.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 4 to Senate Bill 104.
Gentleman from Fayette.
Thank you. This amendment ensures that the 25-foot rule can't be used as a trap. Essentially, that if you are away from the situation and then your space is impeded upon or even made contact with by that first responder, that essentially that would exempt that person from under this section of this act. So that being said, if you do not come into contact with the first responder, you do not walk into their space, but instead they walk into your space, again, because 99.9% of our first responders absolutely are doing the right thing. We all know there are bad apples in every profession. And this is to protect in case there was that bad apple who did get into your space, who then did make contact with you. So that being said, Mr. Clerk, I move for an adoption of House Floor Amendment 4 and request a roll call vote.
Motion made for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 4. Is there any discussion? Chair recognizes the gentleman from Hopkins.
Mr. Speaker, I would also say this is a unfriendly, unneeded amendment to this bill. It's clearly defined. If you are in law enforcement, you understand there's elements of crime, and the elements of the crime would not apply to this elements that he's listed in the amendment. Furthermore, a little offended that one of the summary of it is to manufacture a violation. I've policed for a couple decades, and I've never seen a police officer manufacture a violation just to harass or intimidate another individual. So, again, I think this is an unfriendly amendment, and it goes against what the bill's trying to do.
Question for the body is on adoption of House Floor Amendment 4. This is another simple majority vote. Mr. Clerk, sound the chimes. Now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by voting yea on the roll call machine. Those opposed, nay. And the roll call machine is open for your voting. Have all members voted? Clerk will take the roll. There being 20 members voting yea, 63 members voting nay, House Floor Amendment 4 fails. Gentleman from Fayette.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I think we had some good conversation on here today, and we're going to disagree on certain things, and that's part of what this body is here for, is that we make our case publicly, and people get watching home, get to hear that, and I hope that they do, and you know, I'm going to lose on this battle today, and that's okay. But I think we need to reinstate that, how much we do support our Kentucky and our local law enforcement officers, but I do think that we are being naive and optimistic if we don't think that there's potential for federal actors, those outside our state, to come here and cause some of the chaos that we saw in other states that, again, are nowhere near the border but are in the heartland of America. And in defense of our constitutional rights that we've been blessed with by our Creator, I'm going to vote no on this today because I feel for those rights potentially being impeded. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, 38.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield to a question?
He will yield.
Gentlemen, what gap in current law does the bill fill that isn't already covered by the existing laws of obstruction and disorderly conduct?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
A lot of the laws that we have that would cover these are vague, in my opinion, and they could or couldn't cover depending on situation. This makes a clearly defined elements of crime, and I think it's clear for both sides to be able to understand it better.
Lady from Jefferson.
Will he yield to another question?
He will yield.
Is there any data showing that Kentucky officers or first responders have been unable to respond effectively under the statutes? Could you give some examples of what those instances might have been?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
I don't know, Mr. Speaker, if there's any data or not, but I think if you ask every one of those individuals outside wearing the gray uniform or anybody that I've ever worked with, you'll have an instance where you've been in these situations and you understand how volatile they can be. And I think this bill does nothing more than put protections out for both law enforcement and the community.
Lady from Jefferson.
May I speak on the bill?
You may proceed.
Thank you. I have many friends and family who are first responders and know many folks that work in law enforcement. So I think it's a very sensitive topic that we're addressing today because we do want to strike the right balance here to protect them, but also protect the legal rights of our constituents. So I think my concerns with the bill is that we're talking about legal challenges, things that might come up, following a protest or following these types of situations. And so I think it's really important that we get the law right. I've said it before, I'm not a lawyer, but sometimes I feel like I play one here, and so I always think that's kind of funny. But the point here today about what is very serious is what I don't want to do with this bill. I think the intent is really good, but what I don't want to do is duplicate existing criminal offenses, creating more confusion about what is the proper charge, and then also, at the risk of duplication, also the opening ourselves up to constitutional challenges that could come from this bill. We're seeing these things be in federal court across the country, and so I think it's really important that we get this right. But absolutely, I think the intent of protecting our first responders is always an important cause. So I just have some hesitation about the duplication of statutes and criminal offenses that we're getting into today. So those are my concerns, and I do welcome the feedback from folks that might be impacted by this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from LaRue, 24.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Wish to speak on the bill?
May proceed.
We've talked and we've referenced a lot of what I would consider to be paid positions, but we seem to forget that in this state, in rural parts of the state, we rely on a lot of volunteers when it comes to fire departments, search and rescues. Regardless, the day is going to come, I'm afraid we're going to have problems filling some of those positions. Those people are putting their life on the line. They should not be impeded by anybody, especially somebody holding a cell phone thinking they're going to keep them in order. I've heard other states referenced, whether it be Missouri or Minnesota. This is Kentucky, folks. We're voting for Kentucky residents, some of our own constituents. And if you're going to sit here and vote no not to protect first responders, well, you better hope and pray you never need one. You better hope and pray your house doesn't catch fire. You better hope and pray you don't have a wreck and need a cop to show up and somebody to impede them. Use some common sense. I commend the senator and the gentleman for bringing this bill forward. We've got to do whatever we can to protect first responders. End of question. I'll be glad to support this today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson 42.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield to a question?
He will yield.
Gentlemen, thank you for a lot of the context that you brought today. I have just a technical question on the matter of 25 feet, and I'm asking you to just give me a real-world example of, in the event that there is an emergency, Lord forbid, that you have a first responder and lay people are around, how is an average, everyday person supposed to know where 25 feet is from the incident?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
As stated in the bill, there's several elements of warnings and to back up, to do those different things. So you would just have to comply. We forget that oftentimes that, and somehow that's gotten to be a trend that we don't have to comply. And a lot of these incidents that we have that go south are just a simple fact of non-compliance. And if they would just comply and follow the instructions, they wouldn't have an issue.
Gentleman from Jefferson.
I'll ask another question, Mr. Speaker.
Here we you.
I understand the sentiments, gentlemen, and I understand the matter of compliance as well. I come from a law enforcement family myself, and I just want to understand, just giving your response, in the event that something's happening, a law enforcement professional will say, hey, you're too close, go, stand by, whatever. And that directive, for lack of better words, you're saying is what should be listened to, and that would be enough to satisfy pretty much the intent of this bill. Is that a correct understanding?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
That would not be correct. There's several items on the list that impede, threaten, harass. There's a long list there, not other than just what the officer may feel like at that given time.
Gentleman from Jefferson.
I'd like to speak briefly.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I understand at times that conversation gets a little testy and on the floor, and my questions were in no way meant to be demeaning, but for clarity and understanding, coming from a first responder family. But I do want to share, if I could for this body, if they would indulge me, a personal experience of why I ask these questions. Many of you all know that I've served in local government for a very long time, and in the city of Louisville. And I have personally been privy to and have experienced matters of unrest before. And when there are heightened moments of conflict and people are screaming and yelling and you have sirens and alarms and all of this stuff, it gets chaotic. And I'm pretty sure the law enforcement professionals on this floor understand how sensitive and chaotic those moments can be. And in the event that things start to be yelled, oftentimes there are conflicting directives given at the exact same time. And so my questions for clarity are simply to understand what an everyday person is supposed to be. I also just want to point out something else, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for your indulgence. There are times where the vast majority of law enforcement professionals go to these instances and have these experiences, and they try to do a great job every day, maybe not even knowing if they're going to come home at night. But then there are also those experiences where if it wasn't for a recorded action, something that gets written on a police report is completely different from what has actually happened. And I've seen it myself. I've experienced it myself. And when information gets out into the public and you have such a trusted voice like a law enforcement professional who does not tell the truth, and that narrative is out there, and I don't know, causes a person to have death threats, like I did, it's a completely different matter. So when I stand up today to say that we should be just a bit cautious and clear, it's not to be disrespectful, but it's to communicate that myself and the way my parents raised me, which is to be completely respectful. If I, who complies, can have an experience that almost cost me my life, I think that warrants a question or two. And I don't think that's a bad thing to say. All respect to the intent for this bill, all respect to the gentleman, but I just think some conversations should hear more context from both sides of the perspectives, and not simply to score political points, and I don't think anybody's doing that today, but just to say that there are some instances that may happen that we may overlook, especially on bills like this. Thank you, sir.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, 41.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to speak on the bill.
May proceed.
Thank you so much. Here we are in the last few days of our session. Our country is in chaos. I can hardly watch the news. I don't know if y'all can or not, but we're at war with Iran. We're afraid about the Middle East blowing up. And our Constitution gives us the right to free speech, to assembly peacefully, to protest. And I have joined these protests, and there are not paid protesters there. These are neighbors, community members that are worried and upset that this country is not what it used to be. That we have agents coming into our cities wearing masks that are invading homes without due process. And we were told that people were going to go after the criminals and the gang members.
Lady, I apologize, but we are not talking about the federal government.
I'm talking about
you are not
this
talking
bill
on the bill.
and
Speak on the
yes,
bill.
sir. I'll stick on the bill. But we have a right to protest, and we have a right to protest in our cities and in our towns, and not be afraid that we might get 20 feet away or 15 feet away, because if it's a peaceful protest, and all of them have been that I've attended, they're fun, they have music, people are singing. But when you get into worrying that you may be assaulted or shot by a first responder, let's hope that doesn't happen. And we've seen that happen in other cities. And we've seen some federal, some local folks coming into our cities. And the mayor, some of our locals have been colluding, I guess, with national, so they've had other groups coming in as well. So I think this is a very chilling effect for peaceful protest, for citizens being able to band together, for communities to be able to get out and march along a sidewalk and feel safe. Because first responders protect us. We should feel safe with our first responders. In fact, I have walked and sung with first responders in the past because many of them feel the same way. But I think this has a very chilling effect in our country, and I'm wondering when all of this chaos is going to end in our cities, in our communities, in our towns. And again, our state constitution, our federal constitution guarantees the right to assemble. It doesn't say that you have to be 25 feet away. It says you have the right to peaceful assembly, to peaceful protest, and to free speech. This bill will be headed to court, I'm sure, and probably overturned, and our taxpayers will be handed the bill, as usual. So I know it's going to pass, but I would urge folks to vote no to save our taxpayers money, because we sure can use that money in this budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson 35.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield to a question?
He will yield.
Thank you. Gentlemen, does this bill give federal officers operating in Kentucky new authority to arrest Kentuckians?
Lady from Jefferson 35, I think that question was answered just a few minutes ago.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Would you like to ask another
I
question?
would. Will the gentleman yield to a different question?
He will yield.
Thank you. Gentlemen, and I know you're representing the Senate sponsor here, but do you know if the bill sponsor has consulted with civil liberties organizations about this bill?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
I do not know the answer to that, Mr. Speaker.
Lady from Jefferson.
May I speak on the bill?
May proceed.
Thank you. So it seems to me that we have a number of threats to public safety right now, but I don't believe that peaceful protesters are among them. And we've seen national coverage where citizens are threatened, arrested, brutalized for alleged impeding or aggression that is later contradicted by video footage. If we're sincere about our desire to protect Kentuckians, I think it would be more useful for us to focus on preventing the kind of federal law enforcement overreaction to peaceful protests that we've seen in LA, Chicago, Minneapolis, Portland, Oakland, and other American cities that have resulted in unjust and unwarranted arrests, grave injuries, and even death. And I heard a gentleman say a little bit ago, this is Kentucky, that can't happen here. These other cities are not relevant. But I can tell you that in Louisville, Kentucky, in 2020, I personally saw law enforcement fire less than lethal bullets rubber bullets at journalists, at the press. I read about and grieved over and heard the reporting that when the National Guard was called in, that a member of our own community, Mr. David McAtee, was killed by the National Guard. He was in his own restaurant serving barbecue, as he had for many years, serving free barbecue to law enforcement. And he was killed himself by law enforcement. So yes, it can and has happened in Kentucky. And my fear is that with this bill, it's more likely to happen again. So I was curious to know about consultation with civil liberties groups, because this bill stands in direct conflict with our First Amendment right to peaceably assemble and engage in public protest, and I will be a no on this bill. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the lady from Boone 60.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield to a question?
He will yield.
Gentlemen, we've heard a lot of concerns about this 25-foot rule. Will you help my colleagues understand why that is in there?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
Well, I think we've been talking a lot about law enforcement context, but if you talk about equipment with fire departments or hoses or stretchers, that's a minimum adequate space that they can still have turn vehicles around, they can still operate their equipment. We think that's a good rule, that enough space that they can still perform their job.
Lady from Boone.
Will he yield to another question, please?
He will yield.
Gentlemen, how long does it take for an officer to draw a weapon if somebody charges them, has a knife, or is coming at them, and they're not really prepared? How long does that take?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
I think that would be up to the individual. Now, the general rule of thumb in training in law enforcement is about 21 feet is the minimum.
Lady from Boone.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes the lady from Fayette 93.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the sponsor yield to a question?
He will yield.
Sponsor, do you know if there are any carve-outs in the current version of the bill for individuals with disabilities who may be hard of hearing, may have a physical handicap?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
There are no carve-outs. It still would apply to impeding or harassing or so forth.
Lady from Fayette, 93.
Would he yield to another question?
He will yield.
Are there any carve-outs for the press, any protections for the press?
Gentleman from Hopkins.
Again, there's elements of this crime. It's not just being within 25 feet of a person. There's elements that have to be met in this crime. If journalists are breaking the law, they're not being journalists anymore.
Lady from Fayette.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I speak on the bill?
May proceed.
Thank you. Standing here today as a second-generation American who's Jewish, I would just like to remind the members of this body, when you say the words "just comply," please keep in mind that the German people just complied, and it resulted in the death of 6.6 million people. So please be careful with your words. This bill represents a blatant disregard for the First Amendment rights of every citizen in this state. The right to protest and the right to free speech are not suggestions. They are constitutional guarantees. Yet this legislation would empower law enforcement and first responders to charge peaceful protesters with misdemeanors or even felonies based on conduct that is already protected. The bill's use of substantial emotional distress as a legal standard is dangerously vague and wholly subjective, and that is a standard that will mean different things to different people on different days in different situations. We also have to be clear. Citizens have a constitutional right to record police officers in the performance of their duties. Forcing observers back 25 feet doesn't just inconvenience them, it functionally strips them of this right. And speaking of 25 feet, I'm still confused on how that is supposed to be enforced. And I'll be honest with you all, I'm a terrible estimator of space, time, and distance, and I feel confident that there are many in this chamber who are also terrible estimators of space, time, and distance as well. So without a measuring device, that standard is arbitrary. In crowded urban settings, a sidewalk, a stairwell, a corridor, 25 feet may simply not exist, and this bill sets up enforcement that is, in most real-world situations, impossible. And I think one of the most troubling parts of this bill for me is the law could be weaponized to retaliate against individuals who are literally doing nothing more than witnessing or recording an incident. It could be used to remove witnesses at the very moment accountability matters most. And for our constituents, mine specifically, with disabilities or hearing impairments, compliance may not be possible, yet this bill offers them no protection. There's no carve-out for bystanders, there's no carve-out for individuals with disabilities, and there's no carve-out for the press. They are the vital watchdog in democracy that holds government and powerful institutions accountable and keeps the public informed. Lastly, this bill casts too far wide a net. It covers a broad array of personnel and situations well beyond high-risk environments, making it not just unnecessary, but counterproductive for the routine interactions that make up the vast majority of first responder calls. We can support our first responders without sacrificing the rights of the people they serve. I'm a no on this bill, and I urge my colleagues to vote no on SB 104. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Pendleton, 78.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to speak in favor of this bill as a person who, as a first responder, has held a person's life in my hands in situations where I had to stop delivering life-saving care in order to protect my crew from advancing bystanders and protesters. The situation with this bill, we need to keep our focus. The focus of this bill is to protect first responders, to give clear guidelines that will enhance and enable them to do their work in a more safe environment. There's a lot of situations that as first responders we roll up on, and we don't understand, and we never know what we're really going into. But when we get there, we've taken an oath to protect, serve, and in some cases save somebody's life. When we have to stop doing what we're trained to do in order to watch over our crewmates as the officer in charge, which I was in a lot of situations, it makes a difference. 25 feet, I don't care whether it's 10, 15, 25 feet, it's common sense. But the focus of this bill is to protect first responders. It's not to protect protesters. It's not to protect the media and free speech, because we've already got laws in place that does that. This bill is to give clear, utter guidance to how to safely protect our first responders. And I encourage everybody in this chamber to vote for this bill.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Hardin 25.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I would like to speak on the bill.
May proceed.
I 100% support this bill, as I've been a person who's responded to situations and as a first responder. Was it peaceful protest when law enforcement were run over by cars? Is it when frozen water bottles were delivered downtown Louisville for the riots to throw at law enforcement agencies and first responders? And just to set the record straight to one of the colleagues here, when Mr. McAtee succumbed to his wounds from shots fired by police and National Guard, they were fired on first, and they were returned fire. I fully support this, and I hope all my colleagues do as well. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Perry 84.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to House Rule 12, I would like to call the previous question and ask for a roll call vote.
Gentleman from Perry, if you'll withdraw that motion, we are out of people on the board, so we will go straight to the vote. Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, sound the chimes, now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by voting yea on the roll call machine. Those opposed, nay, and the roll call machine is open for your voting. Have all members voted? Would any member like to change or explain their vote? Chair recognizes the gentleman from Boone 66.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to explain my yes vote on this bill. The sponsor has explained repeatedly that this is a multi-element offense, that individuals who are simply filming, who are engaged in protest, are not subject to prosecution under this bill. It draws a line to ensure that our first responders are not harassed. And as a family member of a first responder, I'm a yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk will take the roll. There being 79 members voting yea, 16 members voting nay. Senate Bill 104 is amended by House Floor Amendment 1 is passed. Gentleman from Hopkins.
Mr. Speaker, I would ask the clerk to report House Floor Amendment 2, the title amendment.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 2, the title amendment to Senate Bill 104.
Gentleman from Hopkins.
Move adoption.
Without objection, so ordered. Gentleman from Hopkins.
Mr. Speaker, I move the clincher.
Without objection, so ordered. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move that House Bill 283 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage.
Motion made that House Bill 283 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon the floor for its passage. Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Bill 283, an act relating to foreign transactions in the Commonwealth. Representative Sharp.
Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the gentleman from Boyd 100 for explanation of the bill. And
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Boyd 100 for an explanation of the bill and a motion thereon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, House Bill 283 is designed to have the Intelligence Fusion Center of the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security conduct a review of adversarial foreign investments into the Commonwealth. Mr. Speaker, if you could ask the clerk to call House Committee Substitute Number 1, please.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 1 to House Bill 283.
Gentleman from Boyd.
Mr. Speaker, the committee clears up some language to highlight in the bill that the review of investments is for foreign adversaries and references 22 CFR 126, which lists all the foreign adversary governments. Mr. Speaker, I move for adoption.
Question for the body is on adoption of House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. House Committee Substitute 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill also ensures that information reviewed by the Intelligence Fusion Center does not go outside of the Intelligence Fusion Center's control. except to report to the Director of the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security and the co-chairs of the Oversight Investigations Committee as long as they maintain their security clearances. Mr. Speaker, if there are no questions, I move passage of House Bill 238, or correction, 283.
Motion made for the passage of House Bill 283 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, sound the chimes. Now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by voting yea on the roll call machine. Those opposed, nay. And the roll call machine is open for your voting. Have all members voted? Would any member like to change or explain their vote? Clerk will take the roll. There being 93 members voting yea, no members voting nay, House Bill 283 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1 is passed. Gentleman from Boyd.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to call House Committee Amendment 1, the title amendment.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Committee Amendment 1, the title amendment to House Bill 283.
Gentleman from Boyd.
Move for passage, or excuse me, move for adoption.
Without objection, so ordered. Gentleman from Boyd.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the vote by which the passage of House Bill 283 was made be reconsidered, and the motion to reconsider be laid on the table.
Without objection, clearance is applied. Lady from Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that House Joint Resolution 110 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage.
Motion made that House Joint Resolution 110 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon the floor for its passage. Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Joint Resolution 110, a joint resolution directing the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security to conduct investigations measuring the Commonwealth's capabilities and vulnerabilities during a potential conflict in the Indo-Pacific and European regions. Representative Sharp.
Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I yield again to the gentleman from Boyd 100 for the explanation of the bill and motion thereon.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, House Joint Resolution 110 directs the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security to conduct an economic stress test for the Indo-Pacific and European geographical areas in the event hostilities break out or expand, as is in the case in the Ukraine-Russian war. During COVID, when the government was shut down without a plan or direction, we saw the chaos that took place. Unemployment was in complete pandemonium, and our children are still recovering from the shuttering of our schools. It's important for the Commonwealth to understand if hostilities break out or increase in tempo, how will that affect our economy? Once we're able to understand the potential impact, we can craft policies to minimize the effects. Mr. Speaker, I ask the clerk to report House Committee Substitute Number 1.
Gentlemen, we have a floor amendment.
Excuse me. Floor Amendment Number 1.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 1 to House Joint Resolution 110.
Gentleman from Boyd.
Mr. Speaker, this floor amendment adds an emergency clause to this resolution. I move for its adoption.
Motion made for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 1. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. House Floor Amendment 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Boyd.
Mr. Speaker, if there are no questions, I move passage of House Joint Resolution. Is that that's after we do this, right? Okay. Mr. Speaker, can you ask the clerk to call Okay. Excuse me, Mr. Speaker, I'm getting misinformation here. If there are no questions, I move passage to House Joint Resolution 110 as amended by the House Floor Amendment 1.
Can't throw your colleagues under the bus, who can you? Question for the body is on passage of House Joint Resolution 110 as amended by House Floor Amendment 1. Is there any discussion? The chair recognizes the lady from Shelby 58. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, sound the chimes. Now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by voting yea on the roll call machine. Those opposed, nay. And the roll call machine is open for your voting. Have all members voted? Would any member like to change or explain their vote? Clerk will take the roll. There being 94 members voting yea, no members voting nay, House Joint Resolution 110 as amended by House Floor Amendment 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Boyd.
Mr. Speaker, can you have the clerk report House Floor Amendment number 2, the title amendment?
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 2, the title amendment to House Joint Resolution 110.
Gentleman from Boyd.
Mr. Speaker, I move for adoption.
Without objection, so ordered. Gentleman from Boyd.
I move the clincher.
Without objection, clincher is applied. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Senate Bill 101 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage.
Motion made that Senate Bill 101 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon the floor for its passage. Mr. Clerk, please report.
Senate Bill 101, an act relating to children. Senator Nunn.
Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the gentleman from Carter 96 for explanation of the bill and motion thereon.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Carter for an explanation of the bill and a motion thereon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have several floor amendments and committee subs. And a committee sub I need to go through first. I would ask that the clerk please report House Committee Substitute number 1.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 1 to Senate Bill 101.
Gentleman from Carter.
Move adoption.
Question for the body is on adoption of House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. House Committee Substitute 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Carter.
Mr. Speaker, I'd please ask the clerk to report House Floor Amendment number 3.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 3 to Senate Bill 101.
Gentleman from Carter.
Move adoption.
Motion made for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 3. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. House Floor Amendment 3 is adopted. Gentleman from Carter.
Mr. Speaker, please ask the clerk to report House Floor Amendment number 5.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 5 to Senate Bill 105.
Gentleman from Carter.
Move adoption.
Motion made for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 5. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. House Floor Amendment 5 is adopted. Gentleman from Carter.
And the last floor amendment, please ask the clerk to report House Floor Amendment number 2.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 2 to Senate Bill 101.
Gentleman from Carter.
Move adoption.
Motion made for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 2. Is there any discussion? Gentleman from Jackson, would you like to discuss the amendment? You may proceed.
Would the sponsor answer a question for me?
He will yield.
I really like this this bill in general. This amendment does kind of raise some questions for me as a principal. So, sponsor, does this amendment now identify, let's say, someone's yard or the head of a holler in eastern Kentucky as school grounds?
Gentleman from Carter.
Gentleman from Jackson, the floor amendment number 2 includes bus stops. I would submit that if the bus stop is at one of the locations that you described, then it, in my judgment, would apply to that.
Gentleman from Jackson.
Would you answer one more question?
He will yield. Gentleman from Carter, or gentleman from Jackson.
So, a lot of times as principal, we get to, handle situations that if it happens at school, it's an easy call because I've got staff members there, things like that. But In a situation like this, I'm going to give a scenario to the sponsor here and see if, so let's say I've got two brothers, and these two brothers are fighting in their yard before they load the bus or after they disembark from the bus. Could or would I, as administrator, be responsible for punishing these two brothers for fighting in their yard at the bus stop?
Gentleman from Carter.
I would answer that by saying if the yard that you described falls within the definition, the answer is probably yes. On this floor amendment, bus stop means a location where students wait for, board, or disembark a school bus of the school district while those actions are occurring.
Gentleman from Jackson.
May I speak on the amendment?
Yes, sir.
I understand the need for legislation like this protecting our staff members, our bus drivers, our bus aides. But I do think that this amendment might have some unintended consequences where I, as administrator, may have to step in and penalize kids for an entire year over fighting with their brother in their own yard. And I understand the need for this in some areas, but I believe in my area in rural Kentucky that, and I had brothers, we fit just about every day loading the bus, you know. It's one of those things that I'm afraid that this muddies this bill a little bit. I really love the bill. I love the committee sub. I love the other amendments. But this amendment, to me, speaking as an administrator, does kind of muddy the water a little bit. So I will be voting against this amendment, and I move for a roll call vote.
Gentleman from Jefferson 30, you wish to discuss the amendment? You're recognized to do so.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a bit of a sore throat today. I'm rising in favor of the amendment. In my district, there have been a number of incidents that have taken place at school bus stops, including violence so bad that children who are new to our country and struggled with the English language were beaten so badly that they had to go to the hospital. Upon being discharged from the hospital, they were beaten again, and their parents had no recourse because Jefferson County Public Schools said that the bus stop was not their responsibility, and LMPD said it was not their responsibility during school hours. The parents took the kids out of school temporarily, tried to homeschool, but because of their language differences were unable to provide the proper education, and the students started failing. We all know how these kinds of stories go. And in the case of my district, there have in the last year alone been 2 fatal shootings at bus stops, and I don't believe that these shootings began without any prior incidents of violence. I know that Jefferson County Public Schools feels that their hands are tied, that they can't enforce discipline at bus stops, and I know that LMPD believes that it should, at least in part, be the school district's responsibility. Earlier this year, I had a mother come to me in tears that she has to be an armed escort for her own children, 7, 9, and 11 years old, just to make sure that they can get on and off the bus safely. If we can't keep our kids safe, including at the mandatory bus stop, if we can't keep them alive, we are all failing. I am very proud of this amendment, and I'm going to support the amendment and the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Motion is for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 2. Roll call vote having been called for by 2 or more members. Those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, nay. Roll call is open for your vote. Have all members voted? Clerk will take the roll. Being 45 members voting aye, 24 members voting nay, House Floor Amendment 2 is adopted. Gentleman Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 101, as amended by House Committee Sub, and Floor Amendments 2, 3, and 5 attempt to address a situation where over the last 5 years, approximately 25,000 assaults have been committed against teachers in our Commonwealth. That is why this bill is important. It's not fair to teachers who merely want to earn a living. They shouldn't be fearful at work and shouldn't be assaulted. This risk often leads to teachers leaving the profession and their career because they fear for their own safety. When good teachers leave, it's not good for the students because our students deserve good educational opportunities. A student that hits a teacher is often a threat, not just to other teachers, but other students. This measure, as amended, requires expulsion for students in grades 6 through 12 if the board determines they have recklessly, with a deadly weapon or dangerous instrument, or intentionally caused or attempted to cause physical injury to a school district employee on school property or at a school function under the board's jurisdiction. These definitions are found in KRS 500.080 and 501.020. If the student has an IEP and the assault is determined to be a manifestation of their disability, they are exempted. The student shall be given educational services in an alternative setting as long as they can be provided safely. School employees are required to report assaults unless they have cause to believe a student's disability led to the assault. And finally, a school employee who intentionally violates the reporting requirements shall be guilty of a Class A misdemeanor for the first offense and a Class B misdemeanor for subsequent offense. This is important because these events are not often reported. If there are no further questions, I move for passage of Senate Bill 101 as amended by House Committee Substitute Number 1, House Floor Amendment Number 2, House Floor Amendment Number 3, and House Floor Amendment Number 5.
Question before the bodies. Passage of Senate Bill 101 is amended by House Committee Substitute 1, House Floor Amendment 2, House Floor Amendment 3, and House Floor Amendment 5. Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson 35 for discussion of the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have really wrestled with this bill, and I wonder if I might speak about it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So I first saw this bill when it was presented to the Juvenile Justice Oversight Commission back at the start of the session. I had a lot of concerns about the bill at that meeting, as did most of the other members of the commission. The bill now is much improved, and I want to thank a lot of folks for their work on that and some good bipartisan work, and the gentleman from Ohio and the gentleman from Fayette 79 and others who've put in a lot of effort to improve this bill. But I still have some concerns, and here they are. So this bill is undoubtedly seeking to address a very serious problem, but I'm not sure this is the right solution. And I'm worried that the unintended consequences could be serious. So our schools get blamed for all of society's problems: generational poverty, inflation, a disappearing middle class, addiction, homelessness, crime, mass incarceration, gun violence, lasting effects of segregation. We are in one of the very worst states for child abuse. We're fourth in the nation for teen births. Our public health rankings are terrible, and we're in a youth mental health crisis. And when we have those challenges in our communities, we see it in the schools. So we could address all of these huge issues through policies that get at the root causes of big problems. Solving big problems that help everyone is why I wanted to come to Frankfurt in the first place, and I'm guessing that's true for most of us in this room, that's why we're here. But mostly we're not addressing root causes. We're mostly putting Band-Aids on problems that could be prevented in the first place. And since we're not addressing the big problems that lead to problems in our schools, we've left our teachers vulnerable. Our teachers should be focused on educating kids. I'm sure we all agree on that. But instead, they are in the trenches every single day bearing the brunt of every community problem that becomes a school problem. And it's not fair. It's not fair to our teachers. It's not fair to the majority of our students who just want to come to school and learn. It's certainly not fair to parents who send their kids to school expecting that at a minimum they're going to be kept safe. So I have wrestled, as I said. I went into committee last week expecting to vote against the bill, but we heard some really heartbreaking stories about teachers who'd been injured. And I voted yes in committee because I'm tired of our teachers being on the front line of fighting against everything that goes wrong in our communities. That's not what they signed up for. That's not their job. But I've continued to struggle with my yes vote in committee, and as I've talked to more and more teachers and gotten their perspective, I've gained a lot more understanding. So our teachers want to teach. They want to teach every child. They also want and deserve to feel safe, and the ones I've spoken with believe it's the job of their school administrators to keep them safe. And certainly not always, but too often, that's just not what's happening in our schools. The terrible, heartbreaking stories we heard in committee last week were certainly about dangerous and aggressive students. But the story behind those stories was that teachers' concerns about safety were too often not taken seriously by school administrators. Teachers were simply not heard. They weren't protected. A teacher would report that a student was dangerous, the student was briefly removed, and then returned to the class. We heard about a teacher who was injured by a student. The student was briefly removed and then returned to the classroom. A student injured another student, same story. Teachers were discouraged from reporting threats in some cases. I've heard stories in the past week about school administrators receiving reports of dangerous behaviors but not recording or reporting those threats to their district because of pressure from their bosses. I'm not blaming the school administrators either. And we know there are students who are simply too troubled, too dangerous, too traumatized to be in a particular classroom or to be with a particular teacher or with particular classmates. There are students who may be better served in an alternative placement, students who need treatment, students whose families need help and support as they experience a crisis, students who are living in dangerous situations, and that's what they're taking to school with them. So our school leaders are working in a policy environment that discourages them, a policy environment that discourages them from protecting their teachers, where school leaders sometimes fear punishment if their data looks bad, that discourages honest reporting, and that creates barriers to keeping schools safe, keeping teachers safe, and getting kids the services they need. So this bill, I get the problem. It's very real. It's very serious. It's a problem that we absolutely have a responsibility to address. And I'm glad that we're talking about this issue. I'm glad that we're taking this serious problem seriously. But I think the solution being proposed in this bill is missing the mark. I really hope this policy will keep our teachers safe. I hope this policy will keep students safe and get kids who are acting out into appropriate placements for learning and treatment. But I'm afraid we're setting ourselves up for some serious unintended consequences. Teachers more afraid than ever to report problem behavior because of harsh consequences for kids. troubled kids being out of school, but still in our communities, an increase in disenfranchised young people, which means more community violence, more poverty, more homelessness, more addiction and mental health problems, et cetera, et cetera. I think we may be setting up a vicious cycle of community problems which will become school problems. So I'm strongly in favor of addressing the problem this bill identifies, but I'll be voting no on this particular solution. I really do hope that this helps teachers, and thank you for letting me speak.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson 32 for discussion of the matter.
So as you all know, I'm a teacher. And as I speak for my colleagues, there is absolutely no reason that we should feel like we should tolerate abusive behavior towards teachers. And I'm going to vote in support of this measure. But what my call is that as we have these children who are expelled from their school systems, that we need to figure out what supports they need so that they don't have, so they're not just thrown out and not thought about. And, you know, we get them out of our schools, it alleviates the problem, but what about the child? And my colleague from Jefferson 35 so eloquently discussed those issues. But today, I'm going to vote for the safety of my fellow teachers and vote yes. Thank you.
Question before the body is passage of Senate Bill 101 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1, House Floor Amendment 2, House Floor Amendment 3, and House Floor Amendment 5. Clerk will sound the chimes. Those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, nay. Roll call is open for your vote. Have all members voted? Does any member wish to change or explain their vote? Clerk will take the roll. Being 84 members voting aye, 5 members voting nay, Senate Bill 101 is amended by House Committee Substitute 1, House Floor Amendment 2, House Floor Amendment 3, and House Floor Amendment 5 is passed. Gentleman from Carter.
I move the cloture.
That objection, so ordered. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Senate Bill 59 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage.
Motion's made and seconded that Senate Bill 59 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage. Clerk, please report.
Senate Bill 59, an act relating to prohibited uses of tax dollars and resources. Senator Rawlings.
Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the gentleman from Boone 66 for explanation of the bill and motion thereon.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Boone 66 for explanation of the bill and a motion thereon.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, please have the clerk report House Committee Substitute 1 to Senate Bill 59.
Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 1 to Senate Bill 59.
Move adoption.
Boone.
Move adoption.
Motion is for the adoption of House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any discussion of the committee substitute? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye. Those opposed, nay. House Committee Substitute 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Boone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, please have the clerk report House Floor Amendment 2 to Senate Bill 59 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1.
Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 2 to Senate Bill 59.
Gentleman from Boone.
Move adoption.
Motion is for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 2. Is there any discussion of the floor amendment? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye. Those opposed, nay. House Floor Amendment 2 is adopted. Gentleman from Boone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, without a penalty, a law is not a law. It is just a suggestion. We took a significant step in the right direction to protect the voices of Kentuckians and to ensure that they are not compelled to finance advocacy with which they disagree. We did that in 2021 with the lady from Shelby's continuing improvement bill to our elections. And in so doing, we prohibited the use of tax dollars to advocate for or against a public question appearing on the ballot. The problem that we face, Mr. Speaker, is that there were no penalties to this bill. Senate Bill 59 addresses that issue by ensuring that there is a fair and measured approach to ensuring that there is accountability when there are blatant violations of the law. Simply put, Mr. Speaker, an error where a Kentuckian is forced to finance advocacy that they disagree with is not only a statutory violation, it is a constitutional one. In 2011, the Supreme Court in Arizona Free Enterprises Club's Freedom Pact versus Bennett held that this is a violation of the First Amendment to compel such advocacy. It's a violation of the First Amendment. It is compelled speech, a doctrine that has been recognized by the highest court in the nation since 1943. This bill simply ensures that we have compliance with this mandate that we have had for over half a decade now, and ensures that if we are having a ballot measure, any advocacy for or any advocacy against that measure, no matter what the message is, no matter what the ballot measure is funded through private means, through voluntary donors, and that our tax dollars are used for the essential functions of government, not for politics. With that, Mr. Speaker, I move for passage of Senate Bill 59 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1 and House Floor Amendment 2. I yield to any questions, but if there are none, I would welcome a motion from the gentleman for Perry that I would otherwise expect from the gentleman from Wayne.
Question before the body is passage of Senate Bill 59 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1 and House Floor Amendment 2. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk will sound the chimes. Those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, nay. Roll call is open for your vote. Have all members voted? Does any member wish to change or explain their vote? Clerk will take the roll. Being 75 members voting aye, 16 members voting nay, Senate Bill 59 is amended by House Committee Substitute 1 and House Floor Amendment 2 is passed. Gentleman from Boone?
Move clincher.
Without objection, clincher is applied. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Bullet 49, the chair of the Enrollment Committee, for an Enrollment Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Enrollment Committee has met and found the following bill to be in order and ready for your signature. Senate Bill 65.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair is about to sign Senate Bill 65. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move to take Senate Bill 4 from the rules and place in the orders of receding or not receding.
Without objection, so ordered. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Senate Bill 4 be taken from the orders of the receding or not receding from House amendments.
Without objection, so ordered. Clerk, please report.
Senate Bill 4, an act relating to school leadership. Senator West.
Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House not recede from the House amendment to Senate Bill 4.
Motion of the lady from Davis is that the House not recede from the amendments to Senate Bill 4. Those in favor of not responding signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. House does not recede from its amendments to Senate Bill 4. Madam Clerk, please communicate with the Clerk of the Senate that the House has not receded from its amendments to Senate Bill 4. Chair hereby appoints the following members to the Conference Committee and subsequently a Free Conference Committee to Senate Bill 4. The gentleman from Jefferson 33, Chair. Gentleman from Ohio 14. Gentleman from Jefferson 48. Gentleman from Oldham 59. Lady from Jefferson 35. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, that concludes the orders of the day.
Next order of business is motions, petitions, communications, and announcements. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move that House Resolution 91 be taken from the Committee on Committees and brought to the House floor.
Without objection, so ordered. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Senate Bill 197 be taken from the Committee on Appropriations and Revenue, given a first reading, and returned to the Committee on Appropriations and Revenue.
Without objection, so ordered. Clerk, please report.
Senate Bill 197, Senator Wheeler, an act relating to economic development and declaring an emergency.
Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Senate Bill 39 be taken from the Committee on Natural Resources and given a first reading and returned to the Committee on Natural Resources and Energy.
Without objection, so ordered. Clerk, please report.
Senate Bill 39, Senator Boswell, an act relating to fishing in privately owned lakes and ponds.
Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move that House Bill 844, House Bill 888, and Senate Bill 90 be taken from the Committee on Appropriations and Revenue, given a second reading, and returned to the Committee on Appropriations and Revenue.
Without objection, so ordered. Clerk, please report.
Senate Bill 90, Senator Storm, an act relating to the Behavioral Health Conditional Dismissal Program. House Bill 844, Representative Bray, an act relating to municipal interlocal gas utilities. And House Bill 888, Representative Bray, an act relating to collective bargaining agreements and declaring an emergency.
Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move that House Resolution 63 be brought to the floor for action.
Without objection, so ordered. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the gentleman from Laurel 90 for action on the resolution.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Laurel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please have the clerk report House Resolution 63, please.
Clerk, please report.
House Resolution 63, a resolution adjourning the House of Representatives in honor of Kentucky's rural electric cooperative utility workers who provided vital support during the deadly tornado that devastated Kentucky on May 16, 2025. Representative Derek Lewis.
Gentleman from Laurel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we pause to recognize a group of Kentuckians whose impact is felt everywhere, in every home, every hospital, every classroom, every small business across our Commonwealth. Earlier this month, when powerful storms and tornadoes tore through our communities, these men and women answered the call without hesitation, just like they do every single time. And just like they did during the devastating flooding last April and the massive devastating storms and tornadoes that followed in May, they are our linemen, our support crews, our dispatchers, and the countless electric cooperative employees who stand ready to restore not just power, but a sense of normalcy and hope. While most of us seek shelter from the storm, they move toward it. They climb poles in high winds, navigate flooded roads, and work long, exhausting hours far from their families. Their commitment is not just a job. In fact, it's a calling rooted in service to others. Behind every restored lot is a team effort, the planners coordinating logistics, the crews clearing debris, the operators managing the grid, and the families who support them from home. Mr. Speaker, they embody the very best of Kentucky, resilient, selfless, and steadfast. In moments of crisis, we are reminded that power is more than electricity. It's the ability to care for our loved ones, to keep our communities connected, and to move forward. To all those who served through our electric cooperatives, thank you. Your courage, sacrifice, and dedication do not go unnoticed. Kentucky is stronger because of you, and we are deeply, deeply grateful. Move adoption, Mr. Speaker.
Without objection, so ordered. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I'll yield to the gentleman from Todd.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Todd.
Mr. Speaker, may I address members of A&R?
Yes, sir.
Members of Appropriation Revenue, please take note that tomorrow we will have a special called meeting on Thursday, March the 26th upon recess in Annex Room 131. Again, upon recess tomorrow, Annex 131. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Members take note. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I will yield to the gentleman from Davis 13 for a citation.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Davis 13.
House Citation 89.
Clerk, please report.
Citation 89, Representative Johnson, citation of achievement. The House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Kentucky hereby recognizes and honors Carrington True.
Gentleman from Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This young lady, Carrington True, even as we speak, is now traveling to Las Vegas to represent the Commonwealth in the United States of America Miss National Pageant. As the recently crowned United States of America Miss Kentucky, Carrington's passion is to advocate for and honor our first responders. Ms. True is an exceptional young lady, and in fact, she's a published author who has done children's books that our fire departments and first responders use across the country to educate children about first responders. She's an exceptional young lady and without question will represent the Commonwealth with great distinction. Along with the lady from Davis 7, I wish Ms. True safe travels and great success in the United States of America Miss National pageant she will be participating in this week. Mr. Speaker, move adoption of citation.
Without objection, so ordered. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, that is all I have today.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Russell. For what purpose, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Communicate with the members of Economic Development.
Yes, sir.
Members, we will be meeting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, Speaker.
Members, take note. Chair recognizes the lady from Kenton 64. For what purpose, ma'am?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have 2 citations that I would like to call, please.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to have the clerk please report legislative citation 86.
Clerk, please report.
Citation 86, Representative Moser. Citation of achievement. The House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Kentucky hereby recognizes and honors Dr. Joel Barrow.
Lady from Kenton.
Move adoption.
Without objection, so ordered. Lady from Kenton.
I'd like to have the clerk please report legislative citation 87.
Clerk, please report.
Citation 87, Representative Moser. Citation of achievement. The House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Kentucky hereby recognizes and honors the Choctaw Academy.
Lady from Kenton.
I'd like to speak on the citation, please.
Yes, ma'am.
So today I am honoring the Choctaw Academy and its star student, Dr. Joel Barrow. The 1825 Choctaw Academy was Kentucky's only Native American boarding school and was built in Scott County on the plantation of soon-to-be U.S. Vice President R.M. Johnson. The Choctaw Academy was unique in that it was on the request of the Native chiefs. It was also unique in that it was secular and federally operated. At age 16, Joel Barrow, an orphan Potawatomi, was sent to Kentucky from Missouri with the hopes of an Indian nation, a nation who was actively being removed to the west. The stress on the Potawatomi tribe was immense. For them, they were enduring the trail of death. Joel became one of the Choctaw Academy's most gifted students, becoming fond of elocution or beautiful speech. With recommendations in hand and overcoming barriers, he attended Transylvania University's medical department in 1842, where he would become the first formally trained Native American physician in the nation. After graduation, Joel would serve as at the Choctaw Academy, and then according to the William Clark Papers in Kansas, he went west to serve his tribe as a physician in 1848. One of the 600 Native boys from 17 tribes, Joel Barrow showed the power of education and showed how progressive Kentucky and the Choctaw Academy were. As National Physicians Week begins, we want to celebrate this powerful story in Kentucky's history. We must not let this story fade, as the Choctaw Academy is one of the few native artifacts in the state from the pre-Indian removal period. It embodies all the stressors facing Indians, settlers, and slaves in the antebellum period. Efforts to preserve this important historical site are ongoing, and we can all participate. I move adoption.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Campbell 68. For what purpose, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Make an announcement.
Yes, sir.
To the members of the Primary and Secondary Committee on Education, we will be meeting today upon adjournment in room 149.
Members, take note. Chair recognizes the lady from Kenton 65. For what purpose, ma'am?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To act on a citation.
Yes, ma'am.
If you could please have the clerk report citation number 88 by title only.
Clerk, please report.
Citation 88, Representative Dietz. Citation of support. The House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Kentucky hereby recognizes and honors National Child Abuse Prevention Month. April 2026.
Lady from Kenton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Every child deserves a safe and stable and nurturing environment. Preventing child abuse is not just the responsibility of families, it's a shared commitment that involves neighbors, educators, healthcare providers, and community leaders working together to protect and support our children. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we raise awareness, honor the resilience of survivors, and recommit ourselves to strengthening the systems that keep children safe. Recognized every April since 1983, this noteworthy event was established in part to emphasize the vital importance of families, communities, organizations, and policymakers working cooperatively to prevent child abuse and neglect by providing economic and social support to Kentucky families, community-based solutions that enhance access to local resources and networks, and stronger prevention policies that are designed to uplift families before harm occurs. We also recognize the dedicated professionals and volunteers who work tirelessly to prevent abuse and support families in need. By investing in prevention, promoting healthy families, and fostering strong communities, we can create a brighter, safer future for every child in Kentucky. I move adoption.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Webster. For what purpose, sir?
Make an announcement.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to announce to the members of the Natural Resources and Energy Committee, we will meet in the morning at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Members take note. Chair recognizes the lady from Franklin 57. For what purpose, ma'am?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to take the opportunity to recognize our 2026 pages that are here today.
Yes, ma'am.
As I announce your name, just stand up and we'll give them a round of applause when we finish. There's several that are out on spring break, so we'll do those at a separate time. Kyler, please stand as a senior at Western Hills, and he is most likely to plans to attend the University of Kentucky and major in biology, with plans to pursue medicine. We have Max Hall, who is a senior at Henry Clay High School, and is planning to major in aerospace engineering at the University of Kentucky. Maribel Hayden is a senior at Western Hills, and she's planning a college major in pre-law with a minor in Spanish. Caden Leathers is a senior at Western Hills, and he'll be attending Transylvania to study pre-law and political science, and then plans on going to law school. Miriam Lingori is a senior at Frankfurt and is hoping to attend Hobart and William Smith and major in public health. Landon Ritchie is a senior at Western Hills and is planning to attend the University of Kentucky, majoring in human health science, dental, and becoming an orthodontist. And the last here today is Kalia Watts is a senior at Western Hills and plans to attend North Carolina Ag and Tech University with a major in computer engineering. Let's all give them a round of applause for their help this year.
Four minutes remain in motions, petitions, communications, and announcements. Chair recognizes the lady from Butler. For what purpose, ma'am?
Make an announcement.
Yes, ma'am.
The Committee on State Government will meet tomorrow at noon in room 154.
Members take note. Chair recognizes the lady from Fayette 75. For what purpose, ma'am?
Thank you. An announcement, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, ma'am.
I rise in celebration of the lady from Jefferson 38, who today is just 29 years old. Happy birthday.
Gentleman from Davis, are you seeking further recognition?
Yes, sir. Make an announcement.
Yes, sir.
The House Elections Committee will meet tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Members take note. Lady from Kenton 64, are you seeking further recognition?
I am, Mr. Speaker. Make an announcement.
Yes, ma'am.
The Health Services Committee will not meet tomorrow. Please take note.
Members take note. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Bullitt, Chair of the Enrollment Committee, who's busily working in the Enrollment Committee. Tell us about the good works of the Enrollment Committee.
All right.
Gentleman from Bullitt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Enrollment Committee has met and found the following bills to be in order and ready for your signature. Senate Bill 69, Senate Bill 155, and Senate Bill 158.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair's about to sign Senate Bill 158. Chair is about to sign Senate Bill 155. Chair is about to sign Senate Bill 69. Next order of business, introduction of new floor amendments, new resolutions. Clerk, please report.
House Resolution 127, Representative Freeland, a resolution expressing support for the Ohio River Restoration Program Act to advance clean water, economic development, community stability, and expanded recreation opportunities in the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The next order of business is a meeting of Committee on Committees and the Rules Committee. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House be in recess for a meeting of the Committee on Committees and the Rules at the Clerk's desk.
Without objection, the House shall stand in recess for a meeting of Committee on Committees and the Rules Committee at the Clerk's desk. House come to order. Next order of business is a report of Committee on Committees and the Rules Committee. Clerk, please report.
The Committee on Committees has met and referred the following bills and resolutions: to Health Services, Senate Bill 33, to Local Government, Senate Bill 53, to Primary and Secondary Education, Senate Bill 1, and to State Government, Senate Bill 68. The Rules Committee has met and posted the following bills and resolutions to the regular orders for Thursday, March 26, 2026. House Bill 686 and Senate Bills 102, 173, 192, 278, 291, and Senate Joint Resolution 116.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next order of business, introduction of floor amendments. Please report.
House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 1, Representative Bojanowski. House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 17, Representative Lockett. House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 18, Representative Derek Lewis. House Floor Amendment 2, the title amendment to Senate Bill 18, Representative Derek Lewis. House Floor Amendment 3 to Senate Bill 29, with House Committee Substitute 1, Representative Raymer. House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 50, Representative Burke. House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 98, Representative Bonta. House Floor Amendment 2 to Senate Bill 98, Representative Bonta. House Floor Amendment 2 to Senate Bill 116, Representative Duval. House Floor Amendment 3 to Senate Bill 116, Representative Gordon. House Floor Amendment 4, the title amendment to Senate Bill 116, Representative Gordon. House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 156, Representative Burke. House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 189, Representative Meredith. House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 195, Representative Wilson. House Floor Amendment 2, the title amendment to Senate Bill 195, Representative Wilson. House Floor Amendment 3 to Senate Bill 195, Representative Nemes. House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 281, Representative Burke. House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 312, Representative Flannery. House Floor Amendment 2, the title amendment to Senate Bill 312, Representative Flannery. House Floor Amendment 2 to Senate Joint Resolution 139, Representative Meade. And House Floor Amendment 3 to Senate Joint Resolution 139, Representative Chester Burton. Also, House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 198, Representative Dietz. House Floor Amendment 2, the title amendment to Senate Bill 198, Representative Dietz.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next order of business is adjournment. Lady from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House stand adjourned until 2 p.m. Thursday, March 26th, the year of our Lord, 2026.
Without objection, the House will stand adjourned until 2 p.m. Thursday, March 26th, the year of our Lord, 2026.